Aftershocks TV, Matt and Chris here with you again, and we've got another great episode for you folks. On this time, we're going to upstate New York. From hardcore metal veterans, brick by brick, we got guitarist Mike Valente with us. Mike, what's going on, man? How you doing, bro? Thanks for coming on.
Yo, what's up? How you doing? How's everybody going?
Doing good, man.
Thanksgiving's upon us. I can't wait to eat and get fatter.
Absolutely. I second that, man. Absolutely. Well, cool, man. A lot going on, obviously, right now with you guys and Brick by Brick. You guys got on tap is Dismal Existence, the new full length. It's coming out February 18th on Upstate Records. We'll talk about that just a minute. But first off, man, I want to talk to you about this past weekend. I know you guys played the Upstate Records Family and Friends Showcase. That was in Brooklyn. Man, what a great lineup that was. Of course, headlined by the almighty Nuclear Assault, man. So why don't you go ahead and talk about how great it was to not only get back out there in that kind of environment, but to also be playing alongside one of the best, thrash bands of all time, in my opinion.
Oh my God. And you know what? They didn't miss a beat. I got to tell you, they sounded like they did back in the 80s. It was awesome. That show was it was very well-rounded between having old friends there and meeting new friends. There's a few new bands on there that were just incredible, and and just seeing old friends. And Mario and Kim from Upstate Records they did a bang up job putting that show together, and we were so proud to be part of that. And it was just I got to tell you, not used to playing. I hurt the next day. I was like, oh my God. But I did not have a hangover. I do not get hangovers.
Nice.
Wow, man. That's
and before, not to interrupt you, but if people are looking at this and wondering why I'm doing this, it's because I can't hear very well. So I'm putting the microphone up to my ear.
Awesome, man. Well, man, like I said, Dismal Existence, man, new full length coming out in February. And of course, one of the main highlights on the record is from the first track titled Evil Remains, where you got none other than the almighty Chuck Billy from Testaments doing guest vocals on that, man. So how did you guys wind up recruiting, hooking up with Billy to help out with that track?
Well, I got to tell you, it's surreal. It's very surreal for me to have him sing on a song that we're performing on. It's just amazing. But we have mutual friends, and I've seen them play about 9 zillion times right next to Slayer. So, there's definitely a lot of common denominators, and it was brought up to me because I was asking my friend, I said, we need a good guest vocals on this. I'm like, you think Tom Araya will do it? And they're like, no, probably not. And I'm like, all right. He goes, what about Chuck Billy? I'm like, oh my God, that would be phenomenal. So they hooked it up, and we sent them over to stuff, and it was like one of those, I half believed that it was going to happen. Mm-hmm. And next thing I know, the guy's asking, he's like, hey, can you do me a favor and reimburse me for the studio time? I'm like, yeah, of course. I go, you don't even want any money or nothing? He's like, no, it's cool. And I'm like, oh, wow. So, yeah. And then he sent me the tracks, and I'm just like, Jesus, and he didn't just do one track or one take. He did, he sent me a few takes. He goes, you pick which one's your favorite. And it was just, I'm like, wow, we got this guy on our song. It's amazing. So, I want to send a shout out to Warren for helping us, hook that up. And it's still not real to me. It's crazy,
Yeah, no doubt, man. And like I said, it's a great song, man. The album, we've gotten a good listen to it, man. It's sounding great, man. My favorite track on the record is Whiskey is the Truth. I think for anyone who follows you guys, man, knows that you guys are all about the booze. Bar is Open is probably my favorite all-time track by you guys. I love that video too. And, anyone who knows you, man, knows that also you got a special love for whiskey. We talked to Ray last year, and he told us about how you were able to secure, the band's own Jack Daniels single barrel. He told us that you're a Tennessee Squire, major Jack Daniels guy. And now, we've seen now over the last few years, other New York hardcore bands like Madball, more recently Agnostic Front, getting their own single barrel as well, which I'm going to assume that you kind of helped them out with that. But I also saw that you guys now have your own mead as well from a local meadery, man. So we see bands, have collaborations with craft beers and shit, but you guys are definitely taking it to a different level, man. I guess talk about you and the band's venture now into this distillery world. And how much does it really help when it comes to sort of marketing the Brick by Brick brand when you have collaborations with a huge company like a Jack Daniels?
Well, I got to tell you, it's all a product of COVID. And
really? All right.
Having all the downtime, being unemployed for a little while, I have to keep moving, or else I'm going to do dumb shit. So I try to. Oh, I could swear, right?
Yeah. Of course. Oh yeah.
All right. I'm sorry. I run off the mouth a lot, but it was just I was a pain in the ass to Jack Daniels for a long time, and I'm just like bothering them. Like, I want to be endorsed. I want to be endorsed. I want to be endorsed. They're like, they never said no. They just kept bouncing me to a new guy, another guy, this guy, that guy. Finally, the guy's like, so anyway, so I kept bothering him, and finally I got this one guy, and we started talking Jack Daniels, and I have an extensive Jack Daniels collection. And when I say extensive, it's, don't tell my girl this, but it's probably about 30 to 35 grand worth of Jack Daniels. Woo. Rare bottles and knickknacks and stuff. But a lot of my bottles are registered through the distillery. So he actually looked me up. He saw that I was a Tennessee Squire. He suggested, why don't you do a single barrel? So I'm like, all right, what the hell? Why not? So we did the single barrel, and it was a massive success. And, in the process of that, we had a meadery contact us because they saw what we did with the Jack Daniels, and the Jack Daniels sold out. It sold in 2 weeks.
Damn.
So, or I should say, it was accounted for within 2 weeks, because you're not allowed to sell liquor if you don't have a liquor license. But so a lot of people glommed onto that, and then there's the meadery's just like, well, why don't you guys do your own mead? And I was like, all right. So I went and I never had mead before. So we went up there, did a tasting for that. And I told him, I said, well, I like this one flavor. I said, but it's a little much for me, a little sweet. I go, he's like, okay. So we went and developed the recipe, and I helped him with it. And we pretty much dumped the flavor and raised the alcohol. And I'm like, it's like one of his most potent meads he's got, but it sips like a whiskey. So I'm like, oh, this is the best recipe. So we did it as a one-off collaboration kind of thing, and it sold out. It sold like close to 275 bottles in a few weeks. Wow. And he told me, a few months later, he goes, why don't we just do this as a permanent rotation in my repertoire, or whatever you want to call it. I said, absolutely. So we just did that, and you know what? It's one of the best meads he's got, and he sells a lot of it, so he's happy. And then, for shits and giggles, we decided to do our own beer this past summer, nice. And we did a red ale, and it's called Bloodshed Red. So we did that. We did a limited amount. There's not really. It's a lot of work to do your own beer, and especially if you don't have a liquor license to sell it. We pretty much, it's just a novelty kind of thing. So there's not really a whole hell of a lot you can do with that. So we're going to do it once every season. But there is this meadery / bar that does only New York State products. They picked up our Bloodshed Red. So it's at the Bull and Bee Meadery in Albany. So that's kind of cool. And I don't know. Like I said, COVID, I was bored. And I was just like, well, we can't play music. So we wrote an album. I'm like, let's just sell a bunch of whiskey, I guess, Nice. So it worked out. And then I started, and I realized that I got a lot of friends and bands that weren't touring and making money. So I asked Madball if they wanted to do one. And, I helped them out with it, same with Agnostic Front. And we got 3 more on deck. We're doing Sheer Terror, Murphy's Law, and Sick of It All.
Sweet.
And then I'm retiring. I'm done with it. A lot of work. Because I do it all DIY. It's all odd.
Right.
My fucking God.
I say you just leave it. I say you just leave it.
There we go.
All
right, here we go.
Some idiot's calling me now. So I don't know how to shut it. I'm stupid when it comes to technology, so please bear with me.
Yeah, it's all good, bro. It's all good.
But, so keep an eye out for those, and we're just doing just doing whatever we can to make it through, especially that extra money came in handy for Roger, seeing all the stuff he's going through. And it's just, it helps. It's just I try to think of my friends and what we can do for each other.
Sure.
Awesome, man. Yeah.
Definitely, man. Well, man, talk a little bit. You mentioned Roger, and he's obviously going through some stuff. And for people that follow hardcore, Roger's on the Mount Rushmore of hardcore, man. I mean, he's absolutely a legend in that world. So talk about not necessarily what he's going through, but how you've seen the community and how it's coming together, if it is, or if it's just the old heads that are helping out.
Oh no, it's everybody. I mean, the hardcore community. I mean, even though we're more of a metal band, we always had that hardcore mentality. And the hardcore community is so tight and family oriented. And I know it's big and scary because you got a lot of tattooed guys and weird looking people in it, but you know what? It's all love. If you act right, you're right. It's just Roger's doing better. I actually talk to him periodically, check in on him and all that, and he's gives short answers, but he always has. So he's doing all right. He's in recovery and he's getting through it. So I don't want to air too much of his business out there, but the hardcore community, everybody came through and helped him out. So he's definitely on his way, and he's not going to be devastated financially.
Good.
That's good. Yes.
That's probably the best news to hear, man. Well, Mike, let's talk a little bit about Dismal Existence. Certainly, you guys have the hardcore element, but you guys are, like you said, you're more of a metal band, much more of a metal band. And maybe it's just me, but it seemed like hardcore was sort of that way in the 90s, where it was a lot more metal than hardcore. And then it went back to just being more traditional hardcore for a while. But it feels like now it's actually coming back to that more metalized style. Do you see that, or do you even pay attention to that?
In upstate New York, you always had the punk hardcore, which was the fast and aggressive stuff, and then you had bands like Cranial Abuse, Stigmata. They paved the way with crossing over the metal into the hardcore up here. So the hardcore genre, for all the bands that were local at the time in the late 80s, had more of a metal edge to it. So it was a good crossover, and it was labeled Troycore, and it was more of a stompy, heavier, grittier metal edge hardcore. So I grew up on that, as well as the punk hardcore. So in the 90s, it definitely took more of a metal turn. Not a bad thing. I mean, I loved it, but I got to tell you, when COC when they did their first metal album, I was like, what the hell is this? These guys shouldn't be doing this. But, of course now it's legend. So, but it's always, upstate has always had the more metal. I mean, New York hardcore has always stuck more to the punk element of it. Exactly. Up here, it's always been more of the metal crossover.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, the outer boroughs always had more of the metallic sound. New York City, I always say, is so much more of a, having grown up there myself, it always, like you said, it was more of the punk element in the bands, where New Jersey, upstate, Long Island always had definitely more of a metallic, flavor to it, no doubt. So, I mean, Mike, you guys just also did a great, cover of the iconic Sick of It All track, man. Just Look Around. That's one of my favorite all-time tracks and records in New York hardcore history. And that song, I mean, lyrically, is probably just as relevant today, man, as it ever has been. Did you guys decide to cover it because of what it represents and what we're seeing pretty much with all the shit going on right now? I mean, what was your decision to cover that track now?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, we always try to throw a cover or two on one of the records that we release, just because it just gives people a little sense of where we are and what we're doing, and the kind of roots. I mean, we've covered Deep Purple, we've covered other upstate local bands on there. We we do a lot of stuff. So we did the Motorhead cover, but yeah, sick of it all. Like I said, this whole writing process was during COVID, so seeing all the shit on social media and all my friends getting divided by stupid red and blue and this and that, it's like, you know what, it's ridiculous. And I'm not a political person. I have my views and I have my opinions, but I keep them to myself because I respect my friends that don't share the same opinions. And I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to convince you that you're wrong, and you're not going to convince me that I'm wrong. It just is what it is. We all got to get up and work the next morning. But the lyrics to that Sick of It All song, they couldn't be any truer, especially in this day and age and all the crap going on. I mean, like I said, we're not political, and going back to the bar is open and whiskey is the truth. It's like, I'd rather be a party band. I want to show up and have fun. I don't want to discuss any of this shit.
Exactly.
This is why I play music, is to get away from all the crap that I'm looking at. All my friends arguing, all people that I don't know, protesting and doing. It's like, I'm not saying not to do it. It's just, that's not my thing. I just want to have fun. I'm getting older, and you know what? My time is precious, and I'm not gonna live it in anger or hatred. It's that's for the music. Let the music do the talking.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. But I just speaking of Madball, I thought it was just ridiculous how you had all the music press coming out, and they stood their ground in what they believed in, and you didn't want to play a show, if you had to get vaccination requirements, and like I said, it's just, to me, the New York hardcore scene was always, it's the antithesis of that, that cheap mentality, man. It was always about thinking for yourself and doing for yourself, or, and obviously you said having connections and bonds with your friends and so forth. It was always a very unified sort of scene. And I'm starting to see kind of a lot of the big names, guys coming out and expressing that. So it is good to see, because that's, to me at least, what always New York hardcore was always about. It wasn't, like you said, it wasn't always about politics and shit. So no, I think it was a good thing you guys covered that song. You did I think a bang up job on that. I just want to talk about the band. You guys were around since 2004. I remember reading somewhere you mentioned that you really didn't get going until about 2015, and that's, to me, that's pretty interesting, because it usually works, the other way around, where a band's younger, they're a bit more spry, and then as they get older, they become maybe less serious because they got more work and family obligations. But for Brick by Brick, it's sort of, you guys have sort of done the opposite, where the band really is starting to take off and becoming more established as you're getting older. I mean, why is it that you think over the last 5 or 6 years or so, the band has really, I guess, become more determined maybe than ever, considering, just because, like I said, it usually works the other way around. I mean, was getting Ray in the band, was that maybe what, was that the front man that you maybe had been looking for all this time? That was, he was able to sort of, get you guys and take you guys to sort of that next level where you kind of, were always hoping to go before, really the band started taking off within the last 5 or 6 years?
Yeah, well, the lineup that we had in Brick by Brick was a very touchy lineup in 2004 to 2014. Okay. Nobody held true to what the plan was, I guess you could say. And the old singer that we had a lot to do with it. He wasn't a very likable person. And we didn't really realize that until we started playing out. And he got us pretty much, he got us screwed up more than he did good. So Ray saw it coming, and we were friends for years. And he's like, "Hey, if you ever need a fill-in singer, let me know." I said, "Okay, cool." So we did a tour with Biohazard in Canada, and I was amazed that the singer actually would take the time off from work to do it. So we did it, and the whole time, people are like, what's up with your singer? He just didn't fit in the mold, and we didn't realize it really until we did a good stretch with him. And finally, I'm just like, I was on the phone with Ray. I'm like, listen, I said, we got offered a Madball tour in Canada. It's in 3 months. I said, we haven't even told our singer yet, but I know he's not going to want to do it. He goes, I'm in. All right. So I sent him a list of the songs, and we got back from the Biohazard tour. I said, so you ready to do the Madball thing? He goes, I'm not doing that. Okay. He goes, get a fill in. I said, sure, no problem. So we got a fill in. Ray filled in. We just at the end of the tour and said, you want to just be in the band? I go, we have fun. You're not a wet blanket. It's just good to have somebody that I can hang out with, because being in a band like this, I mean, it's all about the hangs, So boom, there he was. And then finally one day I forgot that we even had another singer. And he calls me on the phone. He's like, hey, are we going to rehearse? I go, oh, yeah, we are, but you're not. He told me to get somebody to fill in. I got somebody to fill in. See you later. Nice. So, but, yeah, so we really couldn't do what we wanted to with the lineup that we had at that period in time. And it was terrible. And I'll tell you a story. We had a showcase with that band in 2005, and Jamie Josta was behind the showcase, and he wanted a couple people to see us, and he wanted to put us on tour and do the Stillborn Fests, and we're going to be doing stuff with Hatebreed and this and that, and it was great. Set us up with the show, and the singer at the time decided it was more important to get drunk and not show up to the show.
Oh wow.
So here we are with all our gear on stage.
Oh, fuck.
We had to tear it down and say, sorry. I guess we're not ready to do this. But once we got Ray in the band, I think people took us serious. And even though I think we got less serious, just having all the fun we were doing. And, I mean, what, this band doesn't argue. We're in the van, we're on, playing in Europe, doing all these tours and all that, and we don't argue. It's it's funny. We just have fun, and that's it. And that's what it's all about, grown ass men. I don't need any hangups.
Sure. Definitely. Yeah. Do you think that if Ray hadn't come along or had turned down joining the band, that might have been the end of the band? Do you think that you might have, have had enough at that point?
100%.
Wow.
100%. Ray reinvigorated the band, and it would not have lasted. It would have ended up in probably me in a lot of trouble, because I probably would end up going to jail for hitting that kid in the head with a hammer or something. I don't know.
Very nice, man. Well, Mike, obviously, man, and you mentioned it to us before we even got started, because you're outside at a show. But hardcore itself has really kind of led the way to getting music back live, with the I don't want to say the end of the pandemic, but with where we are at the pandemic today. And certainly there was that huge festival there that, made national news because people were whining and complaining about it. But it's been great to see that the hardcore bands and fans have stood their ground and said, now this is what we're going to do. Now, for you and for Brick by Brick, where is that balance for you between the need to play live and just wanting to play live and being safe as well? Do you even draw that line, or do you not worry about it at all and you just go out and play? Or where's the line for you?
Well, I mean, in my band, we have a mixture of people that are vaxxed and people that are not vaxxed. And you know what? We don't talk about it. I believe it's up to each individual what their comfortability is. I did have COVID. I had it back in September. We had to cancel like 3 or 4 shows. For me, it wasn't serious. I didn't even break a fever. I had it for 2 days and I felt fine, but I did my quarantine the whole 9 yards. I'm not against being vaxxed. I'm against being told to be vaxxed. It's like, give me a break, I'm going to probably get it. I'm not going to lie. It's just, I just haven't had time, and not that I'm being irresponsible, but it's just, I don't know. Again, I don't want to start talking about it because I don't want people to go, oh, these guys, this guy said this and da 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 da. It's
totally
not political for me. It's just everybody should have the right to make the decision. I don't, the government telling me I got to do it. There's something doesn't sit right with me when it comes to that. I mean, granted, there's some people that have lesser immune systems than I do, and I respect them, and I'll wear a mask or I will keep my distance or not talk to them in person, but for me I'm treating it like the flu, to tell you the truth. And I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but I believe COVID is the new flu now. And I just think that, give me a vaccination that's going to prevent it. I'll be first in line, but I mean, I know it's supposed to diminish, the results and all that, but I mean, I don't know. I'm not afraid of it, and I don't want to play into the fear that the media is forcing on people. And I think a lot of it has to do with that. And there's probably a ton of people that are going to call me an asshole for saying that, but that's just what I believe. And I'm not going to, lessen with the person that has the vaccine that's pushing for it. I'm not going to lessen their opinion. Because you know what, I get it. I understand. They have a right to it. That's
absolutely.
It's again, it's like politics. We don't talk about it in the van. We talk about music. We talk about having fun. And it's just is what it is. And I don't know. God forbid anything bites anybody in the ass over this pandemic or whatever. But the hardcore bands, when they did that show in New York City, I was there. I'll tell you what, I was grinning ear to ear for the whole time. I needed that. That was for my mental, well-being. I needed to see all my friends that I haven't seen in a year, and it was a statement. And was it the correct statement? I don't know, but I had fun. I didn't get COVID because of that. I got COVID. I don't even know where I got it from. It could have been just in the grocery store,
Yeah,
sure, yeah.
I mean, the hardcore has been on the forefront of going against the grain. I mean, and like I said, the split that's going on, social media is causing it. They're just fueling the hatred, and it just makes the government easier to pick us apart. That's
absolutely.
what my thoughts are.
Yep,
my opinion. So respect my opinion. I'm not saying it's my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I totally agree, man. Well, listen, Mike, I saw you guys were scheduled to do a European run or two. So it seems like you're definitely actively intent on getting this record into as many hands as possible once it comes out, in the winter. And even though we're seeing a decline now in live music, especially in Europe, where I think a lot of places like even Germany now are on the verge of more lockdowns, you guys are definitely, still trying to get out there and push through it. So talk a little bit about, just real quick, what you're planning to do now to promote, once Dismal Existence comes out, to promote the record in a time where we may be seeing some more of this, stuff happening on the horizon with lockdowns. I mean, you guys ever think about maybe doing a live stream, even though in my opinion, I think a hardcore show and a metal show has got to be experienced live, but at least with, I guess, a live stream, the fans can get a taste of, of the new music and songs that you got. What's your guys' plan, I guess, going forward for the new record once it comes out in February?
Well, right now, I mean, we're supposed to be scheduled in February. We're supposed to leave February 5th. The booking agent has not given us a full itinerary yet.
Okay.
So, which leads me to believe he might be running into issues with, certain countries that are experiencing uptick in the cases or whatever. So I'm not really sure. I'm going to probably touch base with them probably the end of next week. But if that falls through, then we're going to wait out the winter. And when springtime comes, we have a couple things up our sleeve. We've been talking to Sick of It All's management about possibly doing a run with them. I got a lot of friends in all sorts of bands, so I'm sure we'll put something together for US. God forbid the Europe thing doesn't happen. I really hope it does, because we haven't been over there since 2019. Okay. So going forward, just gonna beat down every door we can with this record. And, you know, I don't know. I can't give any definite answers now. Everything's up in the air and in the hands of the powers that be, I guess.
Yeah, no, absolutely makes sense, man. Absolutely. Well, once again, I mean, the band's Brick by Brick. The new album that's coming out in February is titled Dismal Existence. It'll be out February 18th on Upstate Records. Right now, you can go and check out the Sick of It All cover track for the song Just Look Around, out now on all digital platforms. So, Mike, just go ahead and let people know where they can go keep up with the band and, listen to some music from you guys, see where you got merch, all that good stuff.
Yeah, the best place to go see us to get information is on Instagram and Facebook, like every other band in the world. UpstateRecordsNY.com. They have all our videos and all our merch that they're selling. We sell merch through merchnow.com. February 18th is the album's dropping. February 19th is our album release party in Albany, New York, and that's going to consist of Nuclear Assault, Skinless, Ringworm, and we got like 2 or 3 other bands on there too. So that's going to be a big party. So if you're in Albany, New York, that'll be at Empire, and that's the club I'm at now. Tonight there's Wrist Meets Razor and Vatican playing right now. So Vatican are good dudes, good hardcore band if you want to check out a new band. But that's everything we got. So, and December 3rd, we're dropping Evil Remains, which is the song with Chuck Billy on it. That's going to be the next single, and that will be through Upstate Records. They're going to announce that. I think it's going to debut through No Echo, December 3rd.
Very cool. Awesome, man. Awesome. All right. Well, Gate, once again, Brick by Brick, Dismal Existence comes out in February. And Mike, man, thanks so much for coming on, bro. And good luck with everything. And hopefully we'll see you on the road sooner than later.
Thank you. Thank you for everything. And I'm sorry about all the technical difficulties.
All good, man. All good, bro. All right, Mike. Take care, bud.
Thank you. Take care.
All right, see you, bud.
Easy, man.